Hello there, scrumptious munchkin. You know, I want to tell you something. The bug eaters are real. Do you have any doubts that the bug eaters are real by this point? You know, those things out there. They control all the financial markets. Sometimes things catch everybody off guard, but most of the time, it's almost like it's all planned. I don't know how the simulation writers have it playing out for us for 2024, but I can tell you one thing. There's a Bitcoin ETF. And this Bitcoin ETF, friends, is a Trojan horse. Of course it's a Trojan horse. Why don't people believe it? It's not anything complicated. Green candles. That's why. I'm going to share with you this story to prove to you that the bug eaters are real. And because the bug eaters are real, the lesson that you're going to learn by the end of this is clear. The lesson is you must be ready for the Bitcoin euphoria, no matter how low the price is. 50K, 60K, 70K, 80K. Yes, Bitcoin can stop under $100,000. It does not need to go above that. I hope it does. I pray it does. We are not in control. Look at this. Are you doubting that the bug eaters are real? There was a very bored but very amazing man. So I'm paraphrasing a bit. But this guy, one dude, literally one dude, he went through 40,000 pages by himself of one book. That was the Goldman Slugs book. Goldman Slugs right here. Okay, you can see this word right here. Goldman Slugs during the GFC. You see, because Goldman Slugs took on too much leverage, degens, and they were going to go under. They were actually going to zero. They were worth zero. But Goldman Slugs, with the government, I mean, they are the government, they said, hey, you know, if we just give you a direct bailout, there's going to be a revolution overnight. They're going to come for us. So we have to think of a plan. And the governments thought of the plan. And the plan was, they go, well, we can bail you out, Goldman Slugs, but first, you need to be a retailer deposit bank. You have to be able to accept retailer deposits. Just offer like little yield and like trashy term deposits. Just all these other junk that people use. Basically poop coins for the fiat currency. That's what it is. You're just holding a poop coin in another currency. It's like, it's your wallet. You don't get the key. You can't control it and you can't trade it for anything. Like what a boring bank account, right? But they needed to do that. Because once they do that, now it's in the law. The government is allowed to save you because now you are part of the people. You are the people's bank. Interesting, right? So they were able to get it. They opened it up. They took in deposits and they go, hey, golly gee, we're a retailer bank now. And they were able to get the definition, the label of the organization changed. But this is very interesting. So part of the clause to get them bailed out was they have to open up the books. Now, the GFC was so messy and no one really cared about these tiny little cracks when the whole thing had exploded. It was basically a nuclear winter when it comes to the banks and the financial system. Everything got destroyed. People just wanted their jobs back. We were losing millions of jobs. It was a bloodbath in GFC. But then something happened. Obviously, this gentleman, he's like, hey, you know this 40,000 page book of the Goldman Slugs? Well, I'm going to put on my fluffy slippers, get some very nice cold orange juice with 5 ice cubes. It's going to be a while. And I'm going to go through that. And this man, instead of playing with his willy, he calculated every single account manually. He went through all their margin, all their accounts, all their collateral. He crossed everything over, the whole book, the whole printout. And he found something very interesting. He found out that Goldman Slugs was short gold. And then he calculated how short they were. So they were betting on gold to go down. They had net short positions. They had been accumulating a number of shorts. He calculated the number of shorts and the dollar amount here. He goes, this is strange. There must be a typo here because the number of gold that they're short doesn't even exist on this planet. Golly gee. Must be a typo. Wasn't a typo. All right. And for that, we're going to play a bit of cranky music, friends. I love this financial system. It's totally not rigged. It's totally out for the little guy or girl or squirrel or pup or duck. Isn't it? Isn't it amazing? So if you're in crypto, welcome, friends. Take a seat over there. It is the equivalent of you being short 42 million Bitcoin on like Bitfinex, right? Or Coinbase or Binance. 42 million Bitcoin. You go, wait, that makes no sense. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. Yeah, because it's paper. It's fake. And they had been accumulating these positions for a long time. Okay. So fantastic that we're able to discover that, right? And what's even more fantastic is I have the chart to show you because it's not as linear as we think, friends. So this is the actual gold chart and the ETF, I believe, came around here. So you see, when they were able to look at the books, this whole move happened. Now, this is the funny part, friends. This is what happens, okay? So gold, just to give you some context, this is a monthly chart for gold. We actually look at a 3-month, just so you can see. Gold obviously moves very slow, right? Biggest base money of the world, right? So gold, when this move happened, so gold embarrassed the governments of the world in the 70s. You see this rally up, gold literally did. This is a 21x, right? Now, everyone had gold fever, and during this period, by the way, so gold went up, stocks were going sideways during this period. Now, the central bank, the actual central banks, okay, it was, I forgot which one it was, one of the chairmen, they admitted later on, after the decade, in one comment, they were never meant to say this, but he accidentally admitted it. They basically said, yeah, one of the bad things we did was we let gold get out of control in the 70s. That hurt inflation expectations. Now, I will translate that for you. They said they go, we're running a Ponzi. It's an insiders club. We're the bug eaters. We're the overlords of the bugs. We are bugs, okay? And we eat other bugs with our little antennas, right? We're the bug eaters. And we're printing money. And we noticed that people started to figure out the scam. So they started buying gold up. They started buying it up and up and up and up. And it made us look stupid because we started losing control of the people, and people didn't even trust the fiat system anymore. So that's why they had to bring in basically Volcker to come and like shock up the rates and basically crush everybody and induce a recession. Show them who's boss, right? And the people eventually give in. This is, you basically whip them hard enough, they eventually give in. And they learned from that. And the central banks have said, yeah, that was our mistake. You know what's funny? The funny part is, do you want to know why? Do you want to know why the inflation was so hot in the 70s? It wasn't just demographics, which is it's a big part of it. It was because one of the Fed chairmen, who was before Volcker, Arthur Burns, he left rates too low. So he left rates too low for the insiders, okay? And the assets that they were probably buying and getting access to were great. Now, the stock market didn't go up. They're probably buying other stuff that we don't know about, right? So the people got ravaged. The rates were too low. And then they had to remove him because everything was just getting out of hand, okay? So that was the problem. The problem was that they never say, well, the truth is, they never say the truth. They never say, golly gee, you know, we printed so much money, we kept the rates low for our crony friends, and then it kind of seeped into the economy because they weren't secretive about it enough. They don't say that part. What they say is, yeah, the gold price was the problem. No, the gold price is the proxy of the problem. The gold price is the issue. Okay, it's like saying, like, if you go out and hang around other sick people and they cough on you, and then you go home and now you have a runny nose, and you say to yourself, golly gee, this nose is a bit of a problem. No. The problem was you going around and letting other people cough on you. You see? But they never talk about that coughing part. That's the real sickness, which is the insiders club. So this gold chart that went up and moon, they're saying, well, you know, we should have never let gold get that high because then people started to doubt the currency. So what happened here? Well, What happened was, clearly, as gold started getting up, remember there was financial crises and these now. We already know these from the central bank comments. Like, we know, remember friends, you got to remember, they do a lot of talking and speeches and so many words. Okay, essays and essays and essays. So this is like the tiniest glimpse. All right, the tiniest glimpse is like 99.999% of all their words is just all BS and jargon talk, and then there's like one sentence that slips, and that's what everybody will remember because it's written on public record. And that's where they basically admit, go, yeah, this thing's a problem, right? Because people get to figure it out. Now, obviously, we're in Bitcoin now, in crypto land, where us going up is a symptom of that. So remember the Roca Negra and the Trojan horse with all this story. So that's why as gold is going up here, Goldman Slugs were short literally 2 times the entire world supply. Now, I can't remember if it's exactly 2 times the world supply or the deliverable of the supply. I forgot which one. It was like an insane amount. So basically what they were doing was, you know what they're buying, friends? So this is the thing. You see, these central banksters, they're smarter than you think. They're actually very smart. They understand cycles. And they understand humans. And they understand psychology. And they know that when we get into a buying mentality, it's a window of time. And also the selling mentality. But let's think about the buying mentality one, okay? The buying mentality of gold, they think to their mind, and they know, they don't even think they know, they go, hey, as bug eaters, if we can just stall people, just hold them out while they have all this buying, eventually the cycle part kind of turns, and then we'll get to unload the damage and the poison when no one's looking. But what happened was the GFC happened because the GFC was literally going to usher in the Great Depression. Now, this is like not even 100%. This is not even guessing, friends. The GFC, it was the start of the Great Depression. But then they printed all the money. So if you just let the markets repeat and you didn't stimulate, which is basically tax the middle class, the lower class, and destroy everybody's purchasing power again, that's what would have happened. You would have had that unemployment rate, which was huge, and then everything collapsed from there. Now, they did eventually do the QE. They started with QE1 and then QE2. Remember, the QEs they started with was slow because they still didn't know this is experimental. Like, man, if the inflation gets out of hand again, it's really game over. And like society collapses by then because it only works if they can keep whipping us. All right. So these Goldman Slugs, the ones that were caught from this one guy, is like, wait a minute, you guys are short 2x. So just to share with you, okay, they know this in the background. They don't talk about it. So their goal is obviously to slow it down. Now, obviously, what happens next? Well, if you go back, you look at the gold chart here, right? If you look at the gold chart, you can see there was a giant rally. Okay, it's a giant rally. But what ends up happening now? All right, what ends up happening now? You have everything stalling out for as long as possible. I mean, this up and down and up and down. You just think, right? They got caught with that one. They got caught. So if you're new to financial markets, there's a quick summary how they were able to do it. So how can you get short something you don't own? Well, what happens is you have a credit account on a broker, on a trading exchange, and they say, hey, how much power do you have to buy or sell? Well, it depends on this collateral, how much money you put up. The thing is, to short gold, you don't need any gold. So what they did was they basically just printed money and they put it into Goldman Slugs' account. Goldman Slugs, obviously, they're friends with the Fed. They own the Fed. They are the Fed. They're one of the private owners of the Fed. They print money, they send it to the account, it ends up in the broker, trading broker, and now you have a freaking enormous amount of selling supply. It's literally the same as if Tether printed 200 billion Tether and just gave it to me. And then I go on to Bybit and then Binance and Coinbase, and I just throw in all that Tether, and I'm able to just put on I could put like a 10 million offer Bitcoin short on every single thing. And all the futures exchanges are looking at it and they're like, well, we can never eat this guy up, right? This is what was happening. Now, they're doing it over time to absorb the pressure. Now, of course, If the spot market, which remember, I don't control the spot market because I don't have 10 million Bitcoin to sell there. If the spot market disconnects from the futures, then you have a big problem. So this is a problem, right? So what did the government do? The government bug eaters, while they're able to do this short on gold and absorb all that demand, they set up institutions and mechanisms so that retailers, if you have gold, you get no benefits. But if you own our ETF gold, the paper gold, which they gave to the people finally, you get lowered interest rate loans. It's considered collateral. You can get a better home loan. You actually have trading rights. All these benefits, lower fees. They give you like 7 beautiful features. And if you have that yucky spot gold, you got nothing. And guess what happened over time? All the institutions, all the pension funds, they're all bribed. They don't go and own spot gold. They don't own gold in their vaults. They go own the paper gold on the futures market. So that brings us to exactly what's happening today with the Bitcoin ETF. So you can see now, man, I have all these posts here just to show you, like, it's not even a secret anymore. We know all this has been happening the whole time. There are deep insiders, and they're just given access to absorb all that special demand for gold. Now, with the Bitcoin ETF, the first thing you'll hear is people say, wait, with the Bitcoin ETF, we have a spot account, which is real Bitcoin in there. And if you buy, it has to go and buy Bitcoin. So people ask, how does the scamming happen? Well, they haven't started yet. All right. The scamming is going to happen as time goes on, friends. They do one step at a time. You see, if they told you everything at the start, you wouldn't believe it, and you know all their tricks. So what they do is they basically choke you slowly. So now they've given you the ETF. That's why I told you, wow, wouldn't it be nice? They give you an ETF, it does a pump, it does a dump. Guess what? If there's a dump, that's why you got to take this seriously, right? You know this, friends. This is how we might be able to like save ourselves in case this happens. So obviously, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. This is a 70% chance. It's not 100%. It's just 70%. But if it happens, look, if Bitcoin goes to 80K, right? My speculation, my feeling. Everyone up here who gets long, there's going to be hundreds of millions of people. If they get crushed, what happens here, friends? You now have you draw this distance here. This would be 5.5 years and Bitcoin is round tripped. Now, why is this important if this happens? See this? Bang, back down to 30K or whatever. If something like that happens, the government now has ammunition from all these millions of people who got wrecked. They all thought the 100K Bitcoin was coming, and they'll invent another narrative. They'll go, oh, it was the Chinese miners. Oh, no, it was somebody else. It was the outsider, the enemy. That's why Bitcoin got it. It was proof of work. So Roca Negra, they even made one of their one of their claims, friends, in their policy. They actually said, they basically implied that they prefer proof of stake, and if they had to vote, they would tell their customers which one the real Bitcoin was. They said that. It's in their paper clause. It's kind of a hint, wink, wink. Such a weird thing to tell people, hey, you know what I mean? It's almost like, friends, imagine you had a new president of your country, and then your president said, out of nowhere, in a speech, he goes, hey, citizens of the nation, in the event of a civil war, I'm going to tell you which side are the good guys, okay? Anyway, let's talk about dinner tonight, right? See how strange, like, that's weird. Why are you talking like that? So they're preparing you. They're preparing you, friends. So it's very obvious, okay? Proof of work, they don't want it because they can't control it, because you make the money you need it to be. They can't control it, all right? They can try to, but it's a runaway problem. So, because with proof of work, when it comes to that, you can basically make your own money, and then I can transact with you. You can pay for stuff. You make your own country, pretty much. In a nutshell, okay? But obviously, it's more nuanced than that, but you get the point. And proof of stake, basically, they can just buy you out. Okay? So we can go more nuanced than that. Doesn't really matter. But their goal is, clearly, some sort of FUD will come in the lows. Remember that FUD, friends? The FUD will come when the dagger's down. Like, $30,000. We're 5.5 years. We're down. What happened? If that happens, it just seems so obvious that the narrative would be brought in to usher, all those new people coming in. Because they're not in now. Hundreds of millions of people will tell them, yeah, golly gee, we're the government. We're here to save you. So I think what we should do is we make Bitcoin proof of stake, and that ETF Bitcoin, if you buy it, you're going to get all these benefits. You'll get better interest rate loans. It will get considered collateral. They'll do all the tricks that they do on the gold ETF. And they'll also probably say, if you don't have paper Bitcoin ETF, well, you're a criminal. Because we can't verify where you got it from. We can't verify what you're doing in this spooky background. This is all government BS. They're breaking your freedoms. They're literally barbed whip, friends. They're just taking away human liberty with every single nation. Obviously, it's an abomination. But this is how they're doing it. This is like, it's the perfect evil plan. It's the perfect evil plan. And it just makes so much sense. Why would they give it to you now? Why would they do it like this? So once they give themselves more power, unfortunately, you're going to learn the hard way. Governments never let a good crisis go to waste. They always do it in the crisis because nobody says anything. So now you get to see these bug eaters, okay? This is what they're out to do. But like all good catastrophes, friends, there's a trap first. That's why I'm turbo giga bullish. It sucks. It's like, yes, it basically, effectively what you're saying, well, the Titanic's going to be a great story that'll last hundreds of years. I better hop on the Titanic because I know a lot of people are going to go on there. And I better go on there and just sell woolly socks and escape on my own boat. Yeah, that's effectively what's going on. There's nothing you can do. All you can do is help your friends, help your family, and just protect yourself. That's why I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but you can survive. You avoid leverage. You stick to your core strong altcoins. Hey, if you just like Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's fine. But you stretch out your time frame. Don't go buying this scum influencer or this other trash. Okay, don't go buying into don't in 12 months tell me the bull run's just getting started. You're buying $100 million valuation seed ICO prices, okay? These are the things you got to protect your friends and family for by getting them in now. Because if they get in now, then they don't really have that FOMO later on, do they? Let everybody else do it. You can't help them, friends. They're going to have to learn the hard way because some people just never learn. Some people just love getting spanked by daddy government. They're like, yeah, spank me. Hot candle wax all over my nipples. Yeah, they want that. But you know what? They're not going to make it. They'll never make it. And unfortunately, in the system, they're the rats that keep spinning the wheels because someone's got to have to power the electricity. So hopefully for you and me, we get to make it off this boat. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, all. Don't forget he loves you. Catch you soon.